We've got a lot of news on that front, but we're going to start on the phone line right now with our expert today. It's Trey Scott, National College Football Editor for us here at 24/7 Sports. Trey, we're glad to have you on the program as always, and we're going to start with the biggest winner, and it's got to be LSU, right?
Yeah, I think everyone watching could guess it would be LSU. LSU 46, Alabama 41 in Tuscaloosa as LSU gets its first win over Alabama since 2011, and they thoroughly outplayed them, Kevin. They had that 20-point lead at halftime. They were awesome. Joe Burrow, he might have been the biggest winner. I think he locked up the Heisman on Saturday with a month to go, 31 for 39, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns. LSU now has the best win in college football at number 3, Alabama. But they've also gone to Austin, Texas, and beat the Longhorns back when Texas was back in week 2. They've beaten Florida. They've beaten Auburn. I believe that LSU is going to rise to number 1 on Tuesday when the new college football playoff rankings come out. And I think to anyone who thought LSU was a paper tiger or a flash in the pan or this offense couldn't travel to Tuscaloosa and keep it up, you're proven wrong. This LSU team is dynamite. They are as explosive as anyone. And I know the defensive side of the ball has some questions here, but this team sort of looks like a team of destiny. And that's why LSU is my Week 11 winner and really the winner so far for the entire 2019 season.
Yeah, absolutely. LSU is the easiest pick for biggest winner. And when you talk about individual winners, it's hard not to say Joe Burrow when you look at the Heisman chances at this point. But you got to give some love to Coach O as well. Some of those videos, so emotional, you know he really wanted that win, and it could propel LSU to the next level, as you mentioned. Let's get your biggest loser now. Who was it from Week 11?
I might upset some fans here in Norman, Oklahoma. But OU, despite the fact that they won the game against Iowa State 42-41, came out looking, to me, like the week's biggest loser, because when the playoff rankings unveiled last week and Oklahoma was number 9, you said, okay, the Sooners have some work to do. It's time to start making some statements. And we had not seen Oklahoma play since that 48-41 loss at Kansas State. So we said, okay, let's see what they can do, because they're going to have to, Kevin, they're going to have to edge out a one-loss Alabama. They're going to have to edge out the Pac-12 contenders in Oregon and Utah. And Oklahoma still has some chances with Baylor on the docket maybe twice and Oklahoma State. But there was nothing impressive about their win over Iowa State. They were 2-touchdown favorites. They surrendered 20 fourth-quarter points, and they needed a 2-point conversion stop at the win just to not lose the game. So at a time when the Sooners should be making a statement, they're trending in the wrong direction, and their defense is starting to play like they did in 2018 and 2017, which is really bad news because as good as Jalen Hurts has been, and he will go to New York for a Heisman invite, he is not Kyler Murray, and he's not Baker Mayfield. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a winner as a loser.
You're right, Trey. Oklahoma didn't look great in that win, especially in the second half. Although to play a little devil's advocate, Texas won. That bodes well for their strength of schedule. Baylor won. They're going to play them next. They'll get a chance at an undefeated. And then the 2 teams that they needed to lose, Penn State and Alabama, both lost. It keeps the Big 12 at large still alive in the playoff hunt. So while it wasn't a pretty week for Oklahoma, it could have been much, much worse. And while we normally do biggest takeaway at this point, Trey, playoff talk is all the rage. So how about you give us your top 4 at this point in the season?
I want to make this clear that this is not what I think the committee will do on Tuesday. This is just my top 4, so let's get going. I'm going to go Clemson at number 1. I've had the Tigers number 1 all year, and look, they're starting to round into form, Kevin. Defensively, they're the number 3 team in the country in yards per play allowed. Rushing defense, passing defense, they've got it all. Offensively, they're also number 3 in yards per play. And you look at their schedule and know they haven't played anybody outside of Texas A&M, but that game was 24-3 with 9 seconds left. And you look at their schedule, and yes, everyone's going to talk about the fact that they almost lost to North Carolina. But I like the fact that they stared down the barrel of a loss and came out a winner, which is something that, hey, they're battle tested at least. And at the end of the day, this is a proven commodity. We know what we're going to get from Trevor Lawrence and Dabo Swinney when it really matters. I don't really think anyone's forgotten 44-16 over Alabama. Number 2, I'm going to Ohio State. They are simply the most dominant team on both sides of the ball in college football. The reason I don't have them over Clemson right now is they're not quite as explosive as the Tigers, and their quarterback coach combo of Justin Fields, Ryan Day, while excellent, is not as proven as Trevor Lawrence and Dabo Swinney. Number 3, LSU. Yes, they have the best resume in college football, and the Tigers should be number 1 tomorrow when the playoff rankings are updated again. And they have a sick offense, and they've got all those wins, but their defense, it's not horrible. It's 27th nationally, but they're going to play in shootouts every game. And I think that could trip them up somewhere along the way. And 4, Alabama. Again, I'm not talking about playoff resume right now. If we're talking who deserves to be number 4, maybe we're going Minnesota. Maybe we're going Oregon, Utah, Georgia. But I just think Alabama would thump all of those teams. And I think it would be a shame to have a playoff without the true 4 best teams in college football. So if I was picking, good news, Alabama, you're in my playoff.
Trey, I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there who are going to have something to say about you having 2 teams above LSU, but I'll tell you why I have your back. Clemson and Ohio State, they play really good defense, and I think defense wins championships. We'll see how far that gets them. Trey Scott, everybody, thank you so much for joining the program, Trey. Make sure you're following him on Twitter at TreyScott247.